you on the happy world of 5FM radio, bringing you hot, smoldering topics on a weekly basis. Your participation is important.
Great morning it is, and welcome to yet another edition, yet another episode of the burning issue here on the happy world 5FM radio on 89.9 in Lusaka and the surrounding areas. And of course, follow us live on our Facebook page, that is 5FM Radio Zambia, and also 5FM Zambia on our YouTube channel. And remember, we are also live on our partner radio stations. Let me specifically say that we are live on Tuta FM on 90.7 in Mansa, covering the rest of Wapula province. Live also on Spice FM in Kabwe, that is on 1.1. Remember, we are live also on other radio stations today. We are live on KFM in Mansa. We will be live also on KNC in Kabwe and Mafken Radio in Mufulira. All right, and thank you very much for finding time to tune in. Later on in the course of the program, I'll give you, our listeners, an opportunity to call in and interact with our guest. I'm your host, Zakaria Banda. Now, our guest today is one leader we haven't hosted in a long time. We are delighted to have him, and we're looking forward to a great conversation. It's President Harry Kalaba. He is president of Citizens First Party. Always a pleasure to have you. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me here, Zach. I also want to say good morning to our listeners and even viewers, because I'm made to understand they are also live on
Facebook
of
5FM.
5FM.
Right.
And
they can find it on your page.
On my page, because we're picking the feed from your from 5FM.
Yeah.
And also Smart Eagles I hear.
Right.
Please watch us and hear us from wherever you are. Let's have a positive interaction. Zambia is our country. And I also want to say that I'm not alone. I have come with one of our distinguished members of the Central Committee.
Right.
Mr. Chagwa here, Patson.
Right.
It's good to have you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So watilo wendaeka musha wanshira. Yeah.
We're delighted to have you. We haven't had a conversation in the longest time, and I think a lot has happened in between. And we would love to obviously pick your mind on some of the burning events that have taken place. But one which we are still living with is the issue of load shedding.
Oosh. You know, Zach, the issue of load shedding is very worrisome. And I want to say from the onset that what has happened with the load shedding, aided by the UPND leadership, is economic sabotage. Pure economic sabotage.
How do you say aided?
It is aided.
This is not of their making.
No, it is of their making.
How
and
so?
Anybody who would say it is not UPND's making, then they are being insincere. The UPND, when they came into government, they found that ZESCO had an installed capacity of 3,500, I think, and 50 megawatts of power. At peak hour, we in Zambia only use about 2,500 or 400 megawatts of power. Currently, ZESCO is able to produce about 3,775 megawatts of power. But ZESCO has told us that because of the challenges they have with the Kafue hydro power station, they are unable to produce the 1,050 megawatts, which Kafue should be producing. We are told Kafue now is operating at about 10% capacity. Even if we said Kafue had a problem, or is it Kariba, sorry. Kariba had a problem. If Kariba has a problem, Kariba is not the only one which produces power in this country. You know? Or Kafue is not the only one which produces power in this country. Lusuwasi is not the only hydropower station which produces power in this country. Shuangandu is not the only one which produces power in this country. There are several hydropower stations in this country that are generating electricity. which we are having in this country. And so the truth of the matter is that this government, that's why I said that it is aided by the UPND government, because the UPND government are the ones who signed new agreements with other countries to sell our power. Because even if we didn't have power at Kariba, we would not still be going in the darkness for 17, 20 hours as a country because of other hydropower stations around the country. Because what we are talking about as being a drought problem is only that Kariba produces about 150 megawatts of power. But you have Kafue Lower and Kafue Upper, which also produce about 750 megawatts of power. You have Lusuwas, as I said. You have Musonda Falls. You have Chishimba. You have all sorts of small mini power stations all across the country. Now, because of that, we have a challenge because the UPND is selling power to other countries at the expense of Zambians. We are producing well over 3,500 megawatts. That's the installed capacity. All that we need in this country is about 2,400 megawatts. Only that. But even that is not coming to our country. They have decided to continue selling power. They have allowed the ZESCO MD to continue ill-advising them that they can continue selling power. And that man, Mr. ZESCO MD, at some point will have to answer questions when the UPND government leaves power, because this economic sabotage he has caused, together with leaders of the UPND, has left many households bleeding. Ile yolonga mwayapa mababa shops. Tabale bomba. Takuda malight. Zak, go masalu mukabwata, muchilenje, mukanyama, mchawama, tabale bomba. Panto malight takuda. Kabiye ni go kuma butcheries nomba bantu ama business badi sala. Muna nduwa malight. What type of a nation are we? And when they are happy kustisha malight kufyalo fimbi. And they are telling us to shipikishe by 1st September number will be having 17 hours of load shedding. 17 hours of load shedding. And yet even today, as you and I are speaking, I'm a light when I was coming. You heard me talking to my people at home, telling them to find out where the power has come. I'm a light yaile mile for 14 hours. Tayala voela. Number challenge because we are already experiencing 17 hours. Politics. This has got nothing to do with politics.
But also, this is not the first time this is happening. It has happened in different governments, including the Patriotic Front government. We experienced this kind of load shedding as a result of drought. So really, this is something that is unavoidable. Maybe we need to start looking for solutions. And do you, as Citizens First, have solutions to this?
Yes, we have solutions as Citizens
Other than
First.
the fact that this government should stop exporting power?
Listen, the first solution that we have ourselves is to stop exporting power. That's a short-term solution. Amalaiti, wale kiokushtisha. Wale kukugulisa malaiti kuma countries enango. Once they stop selling malaiti kufyalo fimbi, 17 hours wale endapo, it will finish. Because today, as we are speaking, we are exporting 100 megawatts of power to South Africa through the SADC Power Pool Agreement. Today, as we are speaking, we are exporting more than 250 megawatts to the Congo. Today, as we are speaking, we are exporting about 90 megawatts of power to Tanzania. 100 to Tanzania and 90 to Namibia. Today, as we are speaking, we are the ones, our malaiti, and yet in this country ourselves, are we not ashamed that we can be doing that? So, if I were a president, president, I would have immediately invoked the force majeure clause in the contract, which is an act of God. If I have kuishita invoke mwaliko kushisha malaiti pakutila mwebene mwai feeding ambale. But because intungulu shtukwete tashaba serious, our leaders are not serious with people's challenges. They have decided to continue selling amalaiti at abantu bestaba afya. I asked one minister, I asked him, why have you continued selling amalaiti? Elo anga sukazaki ukutila, Hari, how would you feel badia tulesi shamalaiti if we stop to go shamalaiti? Kutuba umfashani. So that's how we push ukutila. So abena Zambia, it's okay. 17 hours, 20 hours load shedding. Wena kutuba umfashani. Pantu, aba votele ba UPND. Tefialo fimbi. Aba votele ba UPND some government. Wena Zambia. Balanda taka chila kambush. Kasengo lopo kekele. Abasungu at charity begins at home. Tufuetu wasakamana abena Zambia first. Elo problem ya ubu take over. Business ya kurishama umutu. Pantu bakaunda batemwa business. Ngefiba UPND batemwa business. I don't think na independence nga tuwadipokele mwangu. We would not have gotten our independence. But it's because bakaunda badi serious nefintu. Elo mwenye na tuwa PF na wo bali chita load shedding. The reason why abantu bafunisha pa PF kubika pa UPND is because people thought ba UPND had solutions. Maka ba president abe ne bali ilandila. The president himself told the nation that once he comes into government, there'll be no load shedding. Even when he won, even had an interview with some journalists, without doing any research, our president was. He called journalists and told them, is there load shedding? Can anyone tell me why there's load shedding happening anywhere? This is as out of the works we're doing behind the shores. Oh, if you wake up, put our president. No, but where will our people run to if even the highest of our citizens cannot tell us the truth? You know, the shedding ukupua can first of all for 1 year. In any president, that's what I would do. For 1 year. No export of power. We'll find other things to raise revenue, but because that's why I'm calling it economic sabotage, which is being done by the UPND, aided by their technocrats at zero. All these are problems. The long-term solutions, Zach, is that one, in fact, I'll start from where I started from. 2015, in an idea ku Russia, with the late secretary to the cabinet, Musiska, we went and signed for that nuclear plant along the airport road.
Right.
I signed for that project, then as foreign minister. Why? Because the PF government at the time, they wanted to diversify from dependence on hydropower. Vale for kwambo kuwomfia nuclear. Kamwa ku Dubai. Ku Dubai itakuwa bamenshi. There is no hydropower station. Amadi ashia o Kariba is dry here in and out. Takuwa befio ku Dubai because takuwa bamenshi kulia. The normalized tayaya. Ku Dubai normalized tayala is because they have diversified. Wala bawomfia ma gensets, but they also use power like nuclear and other forms of energy like solar. Okubafwa. If we have in Zambia, it is high time we began investing in those avenues. Number two, we need to ensure that our hydropower stations, future creation of hydropower stations, we should begin creating them not in the southern circuit, but in the northern corridor. Why? Because the rains now have migrated from the southern corridor, which is southern province, and these in Flanomba, where it is raining heavily, it's in the northern corridor. So we need to begin thinking of building more hydropower stations in the northern circuit so that we can compensate the challenges we are having with Kariba, which is itself in the southern corridor. If we do that, then we are going to begin fighting this cage. But beyond that, you were telling me here before coming on radio that I should go on solar. Government must begin rolling out a very robust program If I were a president, I would even have taken Western Province as a pilot project to begin lighting up those houses in Western Province. We see how it can work if we can be solar dependent in one province, and then begin using the best practices from that province to other provinces. That's how you do things. But that is not happening. All that we are hearing is there will be an increase of electricity tariffs. Tariffs. It means ngamwalesha malaiti at 200 per month. Because the number for over 156%. Nishinomba malaiti malaiti mu 200 nishinomba kan mwambo kusta malaiti ya 500. Tefu. Ule ala mikwana mwalesha ya 200. Abantu balanisha. My problems yonshaya. Elo hapa koma ina nondo nishipali ubulema. But UPND have been telling them stop exporting power. They don't want to stop exporting power. They should stop the export of power. Just if they decided today that they are going to stop exporting of power, by tomorrow there will be no load shedding in this country. Elomi, I even told them, because you are not courageous enough, mwa UPND, because why don't you even kanshi just reduce? Eba mule pela 100, give them 60. Eba mule pela 90, give them 40. Eba mule pela 200, give them 150. Pakutila, I am Biamalite. Instead of us experiencing 20 hours of load shedding, we should start experiencing at least now 5 hours of load shedding, because you have reduced of what you're exporting. Why? Because I'm a ministers, but president, as you know, I'm a light school president tayaya. So apamule and apama genset, president I'm a light school tayaya. Community house, but we can a special transformer could be a substation yabo. Community house. I'm a light tayaya. So I'm a light presenting at tayale. What do you expect? What do you expect? When I feel the free bueno, vale tamba TV, vale tamba ma DSTV yabo, vale tamba sausage yabo, normally because it does not have a problem with power. Nomba ngawa lestisha nomba ngawa lestisha welding. Ngawa lestisha masalon. Ngawa lestisha sabi ma butcheries. Chirishan. Ni problem yonsei. Abantu balefilwa nokula sunge fintu ma fridge for a long time because nakuta ma light. Elo zaki ukula ashita lelo mwashita na maelo ashita na buda bushiku mwashita. It is very, very expensive. Extremely expensive. But fiance fio, the UPND is not interested in that. That is what the challenge is. Our challenge today, or our ask of the UPND today, is please, can you for now amputate the export of power? Feel for your people, just for once.
This is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue. My guest is President Hari Kalaba, who is the Citizens First Party president. And we will be later on taking your calls as well on 0955221515 so that you can have an interaction with our guest. Now, let's move away from the issue of load shedding. Let's move to corruption. All right. The fight against corruption under this UPND government is said to be effective in the sense that corruption that is exposed, it means the fight is actually effective than that which is concealed. And under this government, they are saying all that you are hearing of, this one is corrupt, that has been found corrupt, and this corrupt, it simply means the fight is being effected. And it's being effected well. What is your way for an effective fight against corruption?
My way of an effective fight against corruption is to walk the talk. It is not to say by Anti-Corruption Commission they should not be telling us the names of people investigated. What is wrong with telling us? Mr. Hakainde Hichilema said the SEC should not be mentioning names of people they are investigating. They should only mention them after they have finished investigation.
And ready for arrest.
But in the past...
Isn't that fair?
No.
Because what are you doing?
Public office expects that if there's anything happening to an individual that is occupying a public office of public interest, the public ought to know at every stage what is happening, because they'll start asking questions. Why has he been arrested? Then they'll say, no, we're investigating him. That is how you use, that's how you abuse the agencies of government against individuals. What is wrong? When President Sata was head of state, Mr. Sata dropped the late Rogers Mwewa, then as Deputy Minister of Agriculture. He dropped Honorable Ronald Chitotela, then as Deputy Minister of Labor. And he said, I have been informed by the Anti-Corruption Commission that you are being investigated. For me, I would rather the investigation finishes on you so that you don't temper and don't intimidate the officers. If you are found that you didn't have any offense, you are going to be reinstated. That is the way people operate.
Is that a better approach?
I think for me that gives confidence to fight against corruption. If the anti-corruption, because look, the SEC also are not dumb. They don't just investigate you because they should investigate you. There must be a sufficient cause for them to institute limited resources on you. So when they begin putting their limited resources on you, it means they are confident that something might come out. But you don't even want them to announce that they're investigating that one. Then how can the fight against corruption be effective like that? How do you allow people who are being investigated to remain in offices? How do you expect them not to tamper with witnesses and with evidence? Because for as long as they have got access to public office and they get wind of the fact they're being investigated, they'll start fidgeting around with evidence. And you say don't mention them until you finish the process. And yet in the meantime, they are being quietly by the Anti-Corruption Commission. They are being called quietly by the Drug Enforcement Commission. How do you expect the fight to be effective? It means that fight is not going to be effective. It's an academic fight. And some of us already knew when Mr. Hakainde Hichilema was coming in government. We knew Mr. Hichilema can never fight corruption. He can't. Because when you look at Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, look at the way look at the way corruption is showing its head in his administration. You were saying, people in Zambia were saying, no, our PF are corrupt, our PF are corrupt. But our PF in my baby. When it comes to corruption, could PND. But you PND, our mababas, I mean, elders, when it comes to corruption. Because when you look at the volumes, the scale of corruption by UPND valechita, valerish to pata. Man and mina is an valechita by UPND.
Such as?
Look at the issue of just even Zambi saga. Look at the issue of Mopani. Look at the issue of the procurement of fuel in this country. Look at the issue of the importation of maize in this country. Look at the mess happening at the Ministry of Health. Just look at the mess at Ministry of Health, which has never been seen before. These are huge problems, Zach. As you and I are speaking, there are no medicines in hospitals. There are no medicines in hospitals. And yet, Wakapokola, they are willing to find 2 million kwacha to look for JJ. There are no medicines in hospitals. Wakapokola motoka yao takwata fuel. Wakapokola motoka yao yalifa kulipila kuma garage. Wakapokola, and yet, now 2 million na kutoka kuli JJ. If those are not jokes, what do you call them? Mangalo feka eka. So our priorities for this government are warped. And we have lost the fight against corruption because the fight against corruption has been tailored towards individuals. That is the problem. And I warned Mr. President when he became head of state in 2021. I said, leave the Anti-Corruption Commission, leave the Drug Enforcement Commission, leave all the watchdog institutions free from your hand. Let them operate without you pointing fingers at go and arrest that one, go and do this to that one. It doesn't augur well. The president has been issuing statements that have been quite irresponsible in view of the fight against corruption. He's been saying, some of you, we can lock you up even tomorrow. Some of you, we can do this. It is not his job to do that. It is not his job. That is the job of our watchdog institutions. So when you say some of you will do this, oh, Torambe Mingalato, oh, you sit Zafi and all those things he has been speaking are things that are not in the interest of the fight against corruption. All those things are just the fight against corruption, because it is now him saying, uja mkonke, uja mugwireni, uja mten so. And in the process, even the people that were supposed to be investigated genuinely by the Anti-Corruption Commission, that fight has been lost. It has been lost because the president interferes with the works of those watchdog institutions. Number, it is Edgar Lungu, it is the wifey, it is the daughter, it is the son, and when you find out what are the reasons maybe these people are going through these things, and it's because he wants to come back, and that becomes a problem. That is where the fight against corruption has lost its efficacy. If Mr. Lungu is supposed to appear before the ACC, let him appear without any political maneuvers. Then the fight against corruption will gain its traction. But for as long as you don't do that, it will be an academic exercise, and even your efforts will not be appreciated because they will be seen from a political lens. He should have been the last one to comment on corruption himself, because what we wanted to see was him fighting aggressively the fight against corruption. What he has been doing himself, by President Wesu, in fighting corruption is just by transferring. Oh, you okufumako, kabioku, you leave that ministry, at Nabomba. That's what happens when you don't have the guts to fight corruption. All you can do is to transfer people from one position to another, but you cannot take them on and be decisive.
And how far has investigations on you have gone?
Investigations on me concerning what?
I think there was an issue that you were being investigated on. Was it your properties that were equally?
Yeah, imagine.
seized?
Oh yes.
Have you been? You have forgotten about those
about
crimes?
it.
Alleged crimes?
Yes.
Or is it alleged property acquired from?
Yes, you know, the Anti-Corruption Commission came to my residence. That is, I think now it's even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Zach, early in the morning, saying, no, we have taken over those things. We are trying to investigate those things by the building of those flats you built 7 years ago. We think that it might have been proceeds of crime. That was the last time I saw them. Now, because
So you haven't been cleared? Are they still?
No, by law, if the ACC goes and takes possession of a property and say that they have put a caveat, by law that caveat only stands for 7 months. 9 months. If by 9 months the Anti-Corruption Commission do not do anything, it means the case dies, it falls off. They can extend it for another 3 months after 9 months, so that it comes to about a year.
Yeah.
If after a year nothing happens, it falls off completely. It means they have got no locus standi in that matter.
Is that the case now?
That is the case. For me, it is fallen off completely, because it's now 2 years. Nothing has happened on that issue. And there's nothing on me happening. Nothing is happening. And even when they were doing that, they were doing it out of malice. They were doing it out of malice because they knew how I left government. They knew that after 7 years, they found that I had running loans myself with my Indo-Zambia Bank over the building of those same facilities. So they themselves even felt ashamed because they saw the process of how it was. And they are still incomplete properties. So they knew that this man doesn't just talk the talk. He walks the talk. When we're talking about corruption here, it's not because we have benefited from corruption ourselves and we've got something to hide. We've got nothing to hide. We talk about corruption because this country needs to be liberated. This country requires leaders that are going to be truthful and honest with the Zambian people. Not teach pante tule mona. You can't have a fight against corruption. Vambi mule babika kunuma, vambi atibekateni. For the same things. It doesn't work that way.
You resigned from government on allegations that you could not stand the corruption that was taking place in that government and under the leadership of Edgar Lungu. and you're back together in bed and under uka.
What do you mean you are back together in bed?
Of course, now you are dining together. You are discussing the future of this country together under uka, and people are questioning what happened. Why are you back together with someone who led a corrupt government, which you actually detested?
Look, they say times change and people change. When I resigned as minister in December 20, which is about 7 years ago, 7 years ago, that time I said what I said, and I've not taken out what I said. President Lungu was head of state.
Yeah.
President Lungu has since left the seat as head of state. And I can tell you, President Lungu has learned so many lessons from his being head of state and from his having lost power. That's now a reservoir of knowledge. There is nothing wrong with one going to pick knowledge from one that understands what it means to be in government, in power, and losing power. It can't get better than that. And when you say I am dining and whining with him, I don't know what you mean, because yes, we are together under the umbrella of UKA. And in a village, when you are attacked by a lion comes in a village, attack the whole village, even if because of what has entered in the village, you are going to put your guard down, fight the enemy which has come in the village, and once that lion is defeated, then you can go back to your old ways. What is the lion, or what is the nine which has entered in our country? Unomchana tuingirilwa. Na tuingira mnomchalo na cost of living. Enemy ingire mu Zambia lelo mutengo wa bunga. Batulaide okuti obunga bukaba 50 kwacha nga bayisa. We are buying obunga at 400 kwacha lero. Ichiswango chingire muno mu Zambia lelo. Mutengo wa fuel. Baleno ndama mafuta chila bushuku basa ngire fuel pale 17 kwacha per liter. Ile elo fuel, we are buying fuel at about 32 kwacha, 34 kwacha per liter. What type of a country are we in? So when you have these problems, and then you have the former president come, you have to listen to him. I have not left the Citizens First to go and join any other political party. But the Citizens First cannot exist in isolation. We are in opposition. The PF also are in opposition. The New Heritage Party are in opposition. Golden Party is in opposition. But NDC for Amara Boy, they are in opposition. What is wrong with us teaming up together and sharing best practices? Is that going in bed? If it is to share best practices on defeating the level of poverty in this country, then yes, there's nothing wrong with that. There is nothing wrong with that. When you are married, Bazakimo, then you divorce Babam Malekana. Elo kwawe chidilo. Bushekuchira mwakumana abakashikude. Balame bati yo pantu bazaki mwelekana abakashi kwangwa abakashiwe n'umulasango wako. Awe. There's a common denominator which has brought you together. So even us, what has brought us together are the challenges that the people of Zambia are going through. What has brought us together? Mutengo wa mafuta. So we're asking Lungu, how come you kept fuel, you? 17 kwacha, tell us what was the model you used. We are asking him, how come you, ubunga wali pa 139, 37 kwacha, instead of 400? How come you brought Ifigayo, you brought Ifigayo for ZNS all across the country? Because when President Lungu was bringing Ifigayo ZNS, for ZNS, I was with him in Beijing. So, we have to learn best practices.
Does he tell you what he regrets not having done for losing the election? That costed him an election?
You know, I don't am the best person to tell you what he tells me in confidence, but maybe one day when you call him. But one thing that I've learned from the president is that he says he loves to listen more now. And I have seen even in meetings that we have, he listens much more, which is a good quality. And, you know, experience is the best teacher. Only he knows what he went through and what he could do better now. But what am I saying? I'm trying to tell those critics who say ushabakalaba mwali wafye bwino imwe mwali mu PF mwafuma mu PF na ilo mule mbana ba PF tulebo mbana ba PF mulando akutiyela inero na lo ndefa abu president mfuye na ishiba ni method nshwa PF balebo mfya yakula kana kutwala umtengo wabunga pamulo because aba nesu na baturanga completely that they don't have the technical know-how of how to keep the price of millimil at 130 kwacha na bafirwa elo amano mabulwa. There is nothing wrong with us congregating with a former president and picking his expertise. There is nothing wrong. They are not in government. They're not in government. Government. Now in partnership with our PF, enough government, but the PF is in opposition, like the Citizens First.
So then let's discuss. You've already mentioned what brings you together as UKA, but also there is talk, and I think I'll quote also the leader of the Socialist Party, Dr. Fred Mer, who says that for the success of UKA, it has to, unless you let the Patriotic Front under the leadership of Edgar Lungu lead the UKA. Do you agree with him?
Look, I think for me, I'll not dwell so much on that because that is Dr. Membe's opinion.
Yeah.
And his opinion must be respected. As for UKA, I think we are also trying to find the best practice of how we can do this thing better. We in UKA believe that we are looking out for the best amongst ourselves. And the model we have taken is a model that recognizes the strength in each one of us, regardless of how minute one might be looked at. But we look out for the strengths, not for the weaknesses in others. And so that is what we are doing in UKA. So we will not basically say, oh, I think Dr. Membe's suggestion is wrong, because that is his opinion. And which opinion also would be good to be looked at. If that's the model which can help UKA, and that's the model Zambian people will support, why not?
There's been quite a lot of talk around, especially by politicians, concerning the shrinking democratic space in this country. And I think you have been in opposition both under the Patriotic Front rule and under the UPND rule.
Yes, sir.
And you have the right to make comparisons in terms of which one really you would say is a shrinking democracy. I think you experienced a more shrunk democratic space at the time than now, if you agree. Is it the other way around?
I don't know why you say that. I think I experienced a more shrunk democratic space than now. I think for me, the brutality seems to have been constant. We expected the UPND to have learned certain things that were not being done properly by the PF. One of the things that we agreed in a meeting we held at Dr. Momba's place, somewhere there in Leopards Hill there, was that when we form government as opposition, we should let go of the Public Order Act. In that meeting, if I recall very well, it was myself, it was Mr. Kambwiri, then he was with NDC,
yeah.
It was Dr. Mumba was in that meeting, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema was in that meeting. And we agreed that we needed to change the best practice because, in fact, it was Mr. Hakainde Hichilema who said, just like we seated here, you'll see the police walking in here, and they will arrest all of us for illegal assembly. That must come to an end because this is our country.
That's what he said.
His own mouth, he said in that meeting, in his own mouth. I was seated next to him. He said like that in that meeting. Fast forward, he becomes head of state. He does not even talk about the Public Order Act. What he has done, he has just changed the name. What is the meaning of that? Impoto imoine. Umuli chibuabwa. Elo mwabule impoto tawe, ina ikurisha mwabule impoto nombe inono mabika chibuabwa. Chibuabwa yasa unke mintesa. Chibuabwa yasa unke milonge. That's what he has done. He has basically only changed the name. But the Public Order Act has continued being what it is. And I'm not speaking out of spite. Last 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, I remember that, our rally in Zambia.
What happened?
The police told us that they did not have manpower. When we dared them, that even if you don't have enough manpower, we are still going to go ahead. You know what the officer in charge told us? He said, you come. We have received these my big vehicles for the police, and we have new who have come into Luapula. You are going to find us there. They exercise their training on you. So I said, so you have manpower. They have manpower to stop us, but they don't have manpower to allow us to let go. So the UPND is a dictatorial government. It's not a government that you can take seriously in terms of keeping their word. There have been more human rights violations under the UPND government as compared to any other government before them. I was in Kalulushi. I was detained in Kalulushi, Zach. I think you know the story.
Yeah.
For eating in Shima. I was detained. So when you say it is now better, so where is the better there? Because in the 3 years,
I think
the UPND government has been in government.
Brutality.
There have only been 5 rallies from the opposition.
Yeah, but when it comes to brutality, I would say there's a significant difference, really, because I think
you're not a politician, you. Because Zach, I don't know what you're talking about because you are not a politician.
I am not a politician, and the fact that I've never been a politician, I've seen the brutality. I mean, 5FM was almost being burnt here while I'm doing a program, so I know what I saw.
Maybe 5FM has changed the language. Now they are pro UPND. How do we know? Because Imam changed the language. That's why they are not.
It's not about us. It's not about us changing language. It's about who we are hosting. And I mean, you sitting here, you are able to say this is a dictatorial government. You would not say that under the PA.
I was saying that,
and I would let you.
I'll go back to your archives, Zach. Go back to your archives. I said that several times here on this platform about how bad the PF was at that time. I said it on this program. Don't tell me I never said those things then and now. I'm just saying them now. In fact, if there was a government we could say anything at, if there was a president we could call names and to get away with it, it is Mr. Edgar Lungu. Mr. Edgar Lungu was called all kinds of names, all kinds of things, and nobody was being arrested. Today, people just calling Mr. Hakainde, Hichilema, just something, just, I can't know fear. The police visits you. So I don't know what standard, Zach, you would want me to believe in. Me, I will tell you that the way things are now, especially from a person we expected so much from, very disappointing, extremely disappointing. Because Hakainde, the way he was sweet-talking us in those meetings as opposition, even when he had asked me to work with him in the UPND, and I said, no, sir, it's okay, I'm not going to be available to work within the UPND, but I think the policies you have, I think seem to be very interesting, and I would want to see them thrive. I came on this program, and I told you, Zach, that for me, for the next 100 days, I'm not going to criticize him. Didn't I say that?
Yes,
on this program, I said, for the next 100 days after he has won government, I am not going to criticize Mr. Hichilema because I think we should give him a chance. That's what I said. And after 100 days, namona chaba yama, bale takatakafi. Bale katapa, babuela lelo, baya, kulanda nubila bushiku, bali ku Sweden, bali ku France, IMF programs, tabaishi benapa kutampila because of lack of experience. And because he wants to hold on to power. Now he's remaining with less than 2 years before he vacates that seat. What is he doing now? He has to rely heavily on the police. Heavily on the police to rescue him. The police have never rescued any politician. Ask Dr. Kaunda, may he so rest in peace. He tried it even with the vigilantes of UNIP. It never worked. Ask the MMD. When a Scorpion Kadobi and others were there, they tried it. It could not work. Ask the PF. They tried to rely on the police and other cadres to have their grip on power solid. It didn't work. Ultimately, Zach, it is the court of public opinion. Vantu, whatever never na malaiti. Vantu, whatever never lundilobunga. Vantu, whatever never lundila fuel. Those are the ones who make an informed decision when all is said and done. And I can tell you for my UPND, It's a one-term government. Baba UPND. Keep this recording. Ba UPND ni one-term government. Pantu ni bachumbu munsholo luwa. Tabomfua. We told them, can you buy nani kuinde ni kudia? Instead of you pumping a finished crude from none, but because whenever for a business, we nabo to be bringing fuel. Tabale for yo kustefio bakaunda bale chita kuindeni awe. Tabale for kushita hydrocarbon cracker. Utila indeni even improved. They don't want that because they are more interested in their pockets by UPND than the survival of the Zambian people. That is why everywhere we are going, I don't know about you, Zach, but most of the places we are visiting, if not all places, they are saying by UPND they have to go. We are thankful to Amune Misango Yawe Akowera for the last 5 years. In the 3 years, 4 years, Nomba Kuya Bebe, the Pantu Isa. Kuyaya.
This is the Tuesday edition of the Burning Issue here on the Happy World of 5 FM Radio. Remember, also live on KFM in Mansa, live in KNC in Kabwe, Mafken FM in Mufurila. We are live on Tuta FM in Mansa and Spice FM in Kabwe as well. This is the Burning Issue. Our guest this morning is President Hari Kalaba, who is the president of Citizens First Party. It's time we interacted with you, our listeners, or he interacted with you, our listeners, by calling in on 0955 221515. Once again, that's the number, 0955 221515. Let me take this call. Good morning.
Bwana moderator, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. Your name and where you're calling us from?
My name is Kumbere. Thank you so much. Honorable Kalaba, how are you?
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm all right. I've been longing to talk to you. This good opportunity that you have given me. Bakalaba. Imani mwengala tuweba lelo bakalaba na mushwa. Mwali wemeni motwale pera kona mavoti bati na mutusha wote. Imani mwengala tuweba lelo atu mutende tukwete aka mupf mutende ukuchira mu UPND pantitamuli ama guns tamuli na violence na market tabalepoka. Bakalaba you condemned by Edgar Lungu. When did Edgar Lungu change nena lekero kusupport Edgar Lungu? Because of you. Mwale tuwebe kyo bachita. Nili lali bala pile baba Edgar Lungu. Bakalaba, why are you insulting the intellectualism of Zambians by advising us to go back to a reject and automatic president? Lilanda kalena kachinda tifo nyuna balanda ba PF atinga tedi gatakuri my election. Kopa belt na bata. Eromo muikere Scotta. Scotta is the chairman. When Edgar is there, he first speaks. Edgar is there clapping. Why do you want to take Zambia backwards? If there is something wrong, we are not short of leaders. If you can't be because you don't qualify also, why can't you leave it to other people? Banakateka badi. We don't want to be Makurifi violence effort to render. Zambia is not short of leaders. If present day church is not doing further the UPND, we cannot go back to vomit. There is a better alternative. Vakalava, tonton kanjeni chebuno, no wonder bampokere na pate kulina mayo. Vakalava, imona limite mwanga diamond. Inomba mulala bangeshi na lienu wangu. Vakalamba chinjeni kwapo. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming, Kumbele, for that contribution. We'll take another one on 0955 221515. For those that are following our conversation on Facebook, please leave us a question. We will definitely attend to it shortly. We'll take another call. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning, Mr. Zach.
Morning to you. How are you? Your name and where you're calling us from?
Yes, this is Musalirwa, calling in from Osaka.
Musalirwa.
Yes. Sir.
Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. President Hari Kalaba.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you, sir. You know, I really, at first, I was putting you on the sidelines. But once I started listening to you, started following you, because I'm a keen follower of leaders. I can tell you history about this leader, that leader. That's why MCS was my inspirer. But I've proved, I really wanted to prove, I've proved that you are a good leader. You are worth the thought. You know, me, before this election, sorry, a lot of people saw light in UPND and Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, but I never saw life before. I'm younger than you, but I saw that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, there's nothing he can do for this country. Why? The allegiance to the Western world. I knew what he was going to do. If he goes with IMF, I know what their program is. They have to incapacitate each and every person, impoverish people, so that whatever they bring in a country, whether be it LGBT, people will be hungry and they'll go for that. They will have taken souls of other people. That is their main aim. So Mr. Hichilema, I had ruled him out a long time. I knew, and especially on the lies. Look at the lies he was talking about when Manawasa called him a skater. He said, I'm not a politician, I'm a businessman. He refused to join Manawasa. But when Mazoka died, he was the first one to say that I was in the background supporting UPND. So I knew this country is captive, it's under pressure because he's got parents. He's not a leader. He's a leader who's got parents who tell him what to do in this country. But with you, I know with the experience you have, I have no problem with you. I used to doubt you. But now I believe that you can take this country far. If you are able to connect with Mr. Edgar, that's what wisdom do. I'll tell you one secret, Mr. Kalava. School is a place where fools go to acquire knowledge. Acquire knowledge, not knowledge which comes naturally. A leader should have confidence, then he should have wisdom and a heart for the people. If these two are missing, and you have school which is embedded in you, only you cannot rule people. That I can tell you. Take these two into consideration. What we have is a leader who doesn't have a heart and has got no wisdom. These are the problems we are facing right now. No, I wish you all the best. Thanks very much, Mr. Salavan, Mr. Zach.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Musalidwa, for coming. I'll take another one on 0955-221515. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
My president, Murishan.
I am quite my
Neribwariranda, King for the voice of my children.
Yes, King for.
Bakaraba. Yes, King for the voice. Wazaki Murishan.
Nife bwino kati Murishan, mwalaba bene bamushi.
Neribwariranda, kibuke bane. Kibuke, sikulu bwacha. Alaba kalaba, mwenfu muyandi. Alobu teko bunichi pante. You see, Dionsendaranda, Tichimono Muntuadine, Chironda, Waisa Mupantapo. Mwana no failed to Kadifisha anything. There is some qua for Avantia, some good tweet pie. Mwana no good Kuzesko, Nava tweet pie, body tweet pie, or the shedding, about Quetama solution, I quimbe Mufodo Nama, Memi Yakudeta Muka Fue. Ukupange much spring if Yaku single mood, Amasola, but the little Ambo Kumfati, Navasa proposed Okulunda Kozesko. So the shedding 17 hours. Bakaraba ndaranda lyonse barufyanya ba UPND nangu bakabika amataozi mutamaki. Umwana ngara kubwalita wama. Nga mwaisa panganda pamwandi bakaraba ariko atafo nga waikata kubwali abakashi indalama neke kichawamanchire kumona. Nusi? Nangu bakachitefirishani UPND kubwali baikata to akabareke. Shiwa kuti muhamukula leto ubungo wa zede nyesi mwaipa yama mira zino kulara ndati ubunga na buchipa. Mone nyama corruption. Ama corruption na yamina na meno manje. Tie nomba inituare umfa kuyuti kukula ibela na barwere ndaram. You see? Hii government mwinge kalira mwingi. Kwena ichi pani na supported bane au munjerere ko ba Zambia. Inakuli ba 2.8 nari nukukako bakalaba. Muisa mumbike campaign manager wenu bakalaba nakula mi campaign na nokuzi campaign na uka ache turefu ya uli wonse uke minina because this government taikwete vision ichi kwanka bachimwena kuguma mparanya so mwamona bakalaba ifintu fyonse po I government ya ishida shubwekera kebanyi yonse ndaranda hivi nango ni ba national team. How do you expect if we could not ready that kwata pona supporting ngabaya kucharo aba kubalumba bonse bachara fe ba makebi nani mbare shinguru kafe mu Mukomboni, era murefu watu wa Zambia wawina ifo turedile sana. Shonseni down. Wakurabu ekila kepanji. Na ipe poli andi mukurekereshere ya kutirati, utuma yezi tubutukeko bwangu, pakuti government ifumepo bwangu. Na totira wali karaba.
Shamkwai, thank you very much. I'll let you respond, but let me give you just 2 comments on Facebook, and then I'll let you respond. So I've got Maxwell Chongu, who I think you should know. Maxwell Chongu says, President Hichilema has matured politically. I like how he has responded on his relationship with ECL and the remarks by Dr. Fred Membe. And then I'll give you another one from Danny Sakala. Danny Sakala, I will not read the entire message because his other complaints had to do with the company that he worked for, so we will leave that out. But I'll go with this part of his text. Says, good morning, Zach and President Kalabasa. Thanks for coming to the radio station. You are our voice and continue speaking for us. If you remember, when you came to Ngombe, I was one of those who attended that meeting, sir. All right, so we'll end it there, but the rest of the comment is on Facebook. Let me allow you at this point to respond to those calls and concerns.
Okay, I will start with Mr. Dan Sakala. Sakala, I think it is important that we reconnect again. I am praying that Zach will allow me at the end of this interview to give you my number and the numbers of the leadership of our party, so that if there's anything we can take to fruition, Tentulanshanye. Maxwell Chungu, I am humbled, my brother, for the niceties you have lavished on me. I'm definitely grateful. You too I strength in your own right, Max. I think you've got a strong stance in your politics. You've got the humility. And by the way, because this is Max, you know, during the PF time, Max went and put on a uniform for the Dorcas mothers.
Yes.
This is the same Max, right?
Yes.
And, you know, I was shocked by his humility. After some time, he went back to SDA.
Yes.
With his family, his wife and his children, SDA, and sought for forgiveness for doing what he did. And he said, I didn't know. Umuntu ungalan that I didn't know, forgive me. Nishmutunturu sana. It means the person is humble, the person can change, the person is able to transform, and clearly the same things he's saying about me showing maturity, they apply to Max. Max has shown maturity in the faith. He has shown maturity by applying a lot of wisdom on how to correct the mistake that he committed. And now Max remains an example of many of how metanoia should apply, change of heart should be. So thank you for those nice words. King Fred, it is true. This government is chipante-pante. Kashina mwana mwimona. Tapadi fileshi tamuteko boesu. Nifi ni obunga bali filwa. Bali sangire figayo fa bana babashitireko. Ukufilwa mfyafye bwino. Kuwesho mtengo wabunga panshi bali filwa. And it's all a mess. It's all a mess. Bali suminisha ida kampani nakuleta obunga wa ZNS against the ethics of government procedure, and they have gone ahead with it. So it's all a problem. You take away na corruption number na ifyalwa. Ngefa na chanda ba King Fred. Corruption mu PF moyali. Number corruption tule mone yakala languni. Iyi corruption ili muri ba UPND. Evo niba yoda na bafika. So tayiwe meyo na ngupano. Ba musabirwa bachirando kutila balishi bati HH tapalifa kachinja. And yes sir, I'm with you on that one. And thank you also for the confidence that I can be a leader. I am grateful, sir. We continue making strides every day.
Let me give you another one. Did you want to respond to somebody else? No? King Fred?
Kumbale.
Yes.
Don't take Zambians for granted. In the under fetchinga, Chishibe where I'm taking Zambians for granted. In Ndela and Panonga President was Citizens First. I have come here to give the views of Citizens First and how we look at things. ine panondela nangande fintu pali ba Lungu nang pali ba Hakainde Hichilema. I don't do it out of malice because I leave that for lesser human beings. When I'm saying something, it is as it is. And let us learn to appreciate abantu abalande chinka. Not abepobufi. And we leaders, tambi kusambiro kutila, what is wrong is wrong. Why should I tell a lie today when I was able to brave about PF at that time and I was able to say, oh, I'm going to walk out when they still had 4 years ahead of them? Why should I today, when they don't have power, why should I be the one to say, yo, defa PF awele? And I didn't say that in my conversation with you here, Zach. All I am saying was making comparisons. Ukutila, ababa neswa UPND, they have turned out to be worse. Kama compare mu agriculture, muimike ba Lungu na ba Hakainde, masangati ba Hakainde bale sharafe utali. Because abantu mufundo tabale epoka lelo. Abantu bale pokero mufundo mameda. We as citizens first are saying we need to go back to the Kaunda formula where Nambod was working with the cooperatives in ensuring that people were getting fertilizer and 4 bags. And how do we do this? We as citizens first are saying that we are going to put up plants in this country. Tukatampila with Central Province as a pilot project. Kupanga fertilizer Central Province. Then they can help a copper belt. After 2 days, that it is working well, then we take it to Nganuku Mpika, just like that, until the whole country will be able to produce fertilizer in each province. That is the citizens first, and that is what I'm doing here.
Let's take some more. Let me start with a comment on Facebook from Carlos Chishiki Mukoma. So Carlos says, good morning, Mr. President. As the incoming leader of our republic, Zambia, faces significant social, political, and economic challenges. Unfortunately, those currently entrusted with addressing these issues seem more focused on serving their own interest and those of their close associates, rather than patronizing or rather prioritizing the needs and aspirations of the ordinary citizens. Mr. President, you represent our nation's hope. Your wisdom, integrity, and vision for a better Zambia are what this country desperately needs. Please remain steadfast in your commitment. Zambia is looking up to you. Sincerely, Carlos Mukoma Chishiki, your student, he says. We've got Emmanuel Chilea, who just says, following from Sweden. I've also got Nakora Central Ward, who are following this conversation, they said. And we will definitely be looking at many other comments that have come forth on our Facebook page. For now, let's take these few phone calls. Good morning.
Yes, good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are you? And your name?
You are talking to Morgan.
Morgan, thank you. Yeah, Morgan Chilonda.
Mwashuka na Morgan.
Yeah, kanawe satwa kafe bwindo. Koma after vesa chimbaka bafuma pwero mwashirepo pianika ba vesa chimbaka.
Mkwai.
So nomba oyo twingalanda twamufire bakate chalo ba chechwala ndokutira. Nasangire inkono yali ku ICU. Hello, I'm trying to build economy and people are busy criticizing me. Hapo nga PF yali in 2021 lero nga chali west kuchala pa. Pantu fuero bale Kongola kufa Saudi Arabia pan Kongole yali pa 17 kwacha. Hello now bandewe shen Kongole na sangre into na firubana. I'm trying to build in 3 years kwete. Abantu ajawe na mukotana musiba fumento. Mushefe wa chita. Leteni push 5 years. Tumone. So number enikuisa kuuka kutengani nomuntu pantu umuntu moteteta ensofu iyo fwemwa aba 2010 chamleti na UPND kufunya panga uka why mulesi somebody could come out and say I'm going to defeat UPND alone, but you are coming group, are you scared UPND? So for us, I think what we want people want of Zambia. I'll speak on behalf of the people of Zambia. I'm not speaking on anybody else. What people of Zambia want is a cheaper food, cheaper fuel, opportunity to make life easier for them. That's why they vote change. Even in America, they vote. But the biggest economy in the world, but they vote what they want to make their life easier. Even here, create employment, give the farmers input in time so that they can grow, so that Amakatias, between two cheaper, I'm shop 20, Yama foreigners, $20. So we need governance which can make Zambian easier life. So I thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Let me take some more on 0955 221515. And that's the number you're calling us on. Good morning.
Hello.
Hi, good morning.
Wino mlishani mukwae.
Tulife wino katushiba wena mkwae. Ishinati bani?
Ninevo Timothy, ndetu mina kwa mandevu.
Ba Timothy kwa mandevu.
Mkwae.
Okay, konkanya nipo ba Timothy.
Mkwae, programu yo ile mfika wino sana. Na tuitema sana kulia wabakateka besobo tukwete awo bali uko.
Twatote.
Nombe echa bipako venecho na samu na kumakateka ziwonsa besa. Pobalalaba, ukulaba. So abo bakateka beso abo efyo bale twebo ko efyo bale tulaya bakafikirishe nishikwena tukatotele kiniki aba UPND aba efyo balera yatapa abanango vyafikirisha bale pitana na kashuga kaunga kapamera pali no shitobunga nomba na bulya twale pimisha ko bulya wawa mapo ku kirobu pali no shita so icho tulekoseresha ko fe bakateka beso abali okwabo tabafuira okulaba esho balera bekyalo
Rashamkwai. Great. I'll take one more on 0955 221515, and that's the number you're calling us on. Good morning.
Morning, and how are you?
I'm well, thank you. Your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Maricela from Chawama.
Marisa from Chawama.
Yeah. The program which has gone there, the president is speaking very nicely. And don't worry, Mr. President. 2026, you have votes. As long as you do your wish what you're saying. This government,
Thank you. Thank you very much, Maricela. It's rare that I get a female caller on this program, but I'm delighted that I got one. Let me take this one. Then I can give you an opportunity to respond, Mr. President. Good morning.
Order. Francis Mungentika is calling you from Sakatown. Good morning to you, Bazak, and good morning to President Harry Kalaba.
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Just turn down the volume completely on your radio set. We're getting feedback.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me just put it off completely.
Yes, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, much better. Please go ahead.
Yes. Okay, for me, Waka has spoken very well, and you've been for poor people type of leader, somebody who cares for this nation. It's very clear when you hear we've had different leaders with a lot of ranklings here and there, but from you've remained consistent. You know, whatever you do, whatever you say for this country, that is you unique in your own way. And I know one day you're going to be president of Zambia. Come rain, snow, sunshine, whatever, tornado, you're going to be president. And then for me, the other thing that I want to say, other leaders should learn from what you did. When you saw things were not going correctly, Honorable Kalaba, with Minister of Foreign Affairs, who in this world can resign as Minister of Foreign Affairs, got all these chances of traveling everywhere, make deals for yourself, and then you just resign just like that. You're a real man, and I've come to appreciate you. Because the time you were resigning at first, I looked at you and said, is anything wrong with Honorable Kalaba? Honestly speaking, Minister of Foreign Affairs resigned, but I've seen you love Zambia, you put Zambia first, and you've continued to show this country what you are meant. The person that you had resigned from, probably President Edgar, when you worked together and then you left a government, at the end of the day, you made it, you decided to come together for the sake of the poor of this country, and also for the sake of the country in the direction it's going. At the end of the day, continue with the good work that you're doing and put Zambia first. And the other thing that you've come, I do hear all your ideas from the time you're in PF, the time you came into opposition, and up to now. Consistent, giving ideas. Look at how fuel procurement, what you do with the fuel. And so you are a leader who can criticize and you give a point. But I don't know why other leaders are not learning from you the things that you see. President Lungu, the same thing he did not learn when he was in power, and he's learning now, and I think a few things have been made. Even President Hakainde Hichilema, if you're listening to President Hakainde Hichilema, if there are people, a few people within the country that should listen to, other than your advisors who want to tell you what you want to hear, President Kala will tell you what you want to hear and what you don't want to hear. And if you want to be a good leader, kick out even all the good things that he has picked from you, and then at the end of the day, use the same things to build a stronger foundation for the country called Zambia, because nobody owns Zambia. Nobody owns Zambia. Today it is President Hakainde. Tomorrow it will be Kalaba, President Kalaba. Tomorrow it will be Francis Mumbi. What can anybody say? Our destiny lies in the hands of God. And for me, also, I want to ask you one thing, Bakalaba. I asked this question to, I think it must have one on the radio. I said, right now there have been issues within the composition of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. How comfortable are you with the current Electoral Commission of Zambia, and what are you doing about it? What is it you can advise President Hakainde with the people who are there? Because most of them are affiliated to probably the ruling parties. What are you going to do to make sure things work better? And then also the issue of electricity.
And unfortunately, I can only take those, Francis. And I thank you very much.
No, I appreciate.
Thank you. Thank you. Great.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you very much. Quickly, let me write down, because messages are dropping fast and furious on our Facebook page. Tandiwe Ngoma says President Hari Kalaba team UKA is behind you. Agnes Chilufia says yes, Mr. Hari Kalaba is president 2026. I also have Dorothy Stevens. Dorothy says President Kalaba, you're a man of great wisdom. Keep up with the good work. God is with you. Let's respond to those concerns, comments, and questions.
Thank you very much, Zach. Tandiwe, thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it. Agnes Chilufia, thank you so much. You are dependable, you are reliable, and I think I am grateful that you've sent this reassurance that we are together until 2026. It will be an interesting year. Mpika East, you have said a lot of things. Thank you very much, Mpika East. You've said a lot of nice things about me. I am deeply humbled by your niceties towards me. I am very grateful. And I take this as a challenge to even do better, to ensure that Zambia is the one we put before us and before self, so that the Zambian people can know, in the true saying of the word, it is important that wakaunda balifwa, wakapwepwe balifwa, athawina balifwa, munakabimba spalo, bamunkombwe, all the leaders that we knew have gone. But we are still here, so we have to continue running with the wisdom that they would have been running the affairs of the nation with. So I'm really, really grateful. On the how comfortable I am with the Electoral Commission of Zambia, I am not comfortable at all with the Electoral Commission of Zambia. ECZ to Kuwait right now, especially the current composition, because this composition, the way it has been put together, it's very party-oriented. Tetumukwata abantu mu ECZ abalefu okwimina bwe MP omwe apera ati mwana ba commissioner ku ECZ. You cannot have omuntu mwali bakali ati umuntu wa UPND omwe yabola mayampela utira nobwala leading a ECZ. It cannot work. We are not going into the election shindika abantu. We are going in this election and we expect the playing field to be leveled. And so we expect the people at the Electoral Commission of Zambia to begin showing that they are ready to do what their colleagues did in the past by making the Electoral Commission of Zambia apolitical. It should not be involved in any kind of politics. You saw what happened to other people there. Judge Chulu was there. He delivered. There was a change of government. So na imwebe ba ECZ mweba liuko. Ba mweba mwangala zames. Na imwebe copy what Judge Chulu did. Help us that government, this government which is not here, for the sake of the people of Zambia. What we need is to do what the people of Zambia want, not what the UPND wants, because this country is not for UPND alone. It's for all of us. The only lady who has caught your program, Marisela from Chawama.
Yeah.
Marisela ziko maningi. Mulungu adalise. Thank you for your support, and please let's be in touch. Be with our colleagues there in Chawama. Kubali abengi sana ba mayoba mesio kubali uko kuchawama. Work with her, and let's see how we can do things. va Timothy is it at Kumumbwa? I should not forget, because leaders normally forget.
Yeah.
One of the in Bahati they gave me a name Kumansa wale nitati Kalabatalaba. It's because inenga tualande fintu bazak na imwe. I will follow through up to the very end. That's not my nature. So inenshaka chinje pantosho nawe fini. That's why na number ya desire that I've never changed my number. From 1999, I still have the same telephone number. Elo na the civil servant, elo na saunka MP, na saunka deputy minister, na saunka minister, elo na leka, elo tuambu take tuamba ma opposition politics. Na fuma number 3 my elections in 2021, nele elo leading the citizens first. I still have the same number. Ba Morgan. But President Basangira economy alimu ICU. If Balandija what he said, he found the economy in ICU. Now he's trying to work on it 3 years. But President is not going to do anything. Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has failed. There's nothing that is going to do towards the economy, because the formula is using is a wrong formula. What the president should have been doing is what I will do when I become president. It is to deal with the mines. There are so many seepages in the mining sector, and he knows where the problem is, but he's looking elsewhere. We need to take bold decisions, and our president cannot take bold decisions because he's a businessman, as you know. Then what he will say during the day is sweet. Then in the evenings they'll be having cocktails with those same owners of the mines and companies, and so how can you expect a different result? Nothing will get from him. Because the workers of ShopRite have been crying. Our workers in Mope have been crying. The workers in South African companies have been crying about the conditions of service. This government is doing nothing about it. Why? Because but connected. But mulefwa iko muntu kesalandira ko bali ama workers, bali ama ShopRite workers. Andunga balandira ko muntu wapalanga ari kala. Mulefwa iko muntu washipa ukesafa ama civil servants. Not what civil servants are going through. Bale bule fifulo direct babula kada babikapo. Bale seka bana batoma kadas, but for them they have gone too much with cadarism. They have taken cadarism with the civil service. So when we come, if we want to have a proper civil service, because remember Zach, I was a civil servant myself. Yeah. So I want proper civil service to come back. Then Malanda Tiuka, you are scared of UPND. Look, I think there's nothing like being scared. There is strength in numbers. And we want to use the arrogance of numbers to deal with the challenges this country is going through. Carlos Chishiki, thank you very much for what you have said, my brother. That I represent the national hope. We'll continue doing that, lifting the flag of our country higher. And I can tell you with certainty here on this program, nothing is going to intimidate us in the process of doing that which is right for the country Zambia. Tulemi Papa, talking for myself as Ari Kalaba, Tulemi Papa, and we are going to talk for you without fear or favor. Pantu pamenso ya monove, tapemankala maekulia. Tatuasumine chibereshi, tatuasumine okutuderela, tatuasumine okutuingira pantu febena, eba kweta ma instruments of power. If you banda nishinibaka anabesa, if you ture ontako, it will not happen.
Let me give you another text message which came through. Says, good morning, Zach. My question for Mr. Kalaba is, how many times will you change on your stance? You criticized Mr. Lungu, but soon after that, you were back together. Are you doing it for the money or what? Personally, I can't trust you because you shift camps and that we are scared of you. Besides that, I have been a member of the Citizens First, but to be honest, you lack good ideas for this country, and you just talk too much as well. You might just tend to be worse than the UPND themselves. Lastly, set your priorities right so that you know what you are talking about, not just shooting in the dark. This is Big J from kabanana.
Mwana maza kweta mwana kunani. Uyo big jari mposere nshita. Uyo ni kuyo because nishita wiki repo shinali yakwe. Out of Yonsha Yamanani, we have received more than 15 callers here, 15 questions here. They are all saying we are on the right path. Whenever Big J, vice a favor for more because new PND yo. New PND. So you can listen. Tetimum for new PND. Elonga lando kutila. Mweba kalabamenta Lungu. I think I explained. I don't change my stances. I don't change, and nothing has changed. Ishishile pano kulanda tawe. Fianala nje munka lato kutila have resigned. Take your number. No. I have explained clearly here. Kutila. Inaisha mbila. It is not in my line of duty kupato umuntu pantu fitna sana on policy. Therefore, I should hate the person and the shakularanda nankwe. No. Now, if anybody HH Nshaba Pata as a person, he will tell you that I only talk about my HH when it comes to the policies he's implementing. Then I'll raise my finger. Lungu, I resigned from his government. And I went in the opposition voluntarily. And I believe that that decision I made was a landmark decision for me and for those that are coming after us. But when you meet in a scenario like we have met, and he has admitted kwa jama mistakes to apangilia moyamu uwa wata mupanda ineshi for ayolufiengo no mufimbila about an individual. This country is like this because there's too much hatred in this country. Leaders hating one another for no apparent reason. We need to heal the divide. And me as Harry Kalava, therefore I is saying, I need the peace. Even Hakainde Hichilema onka bafunyapo, onke seponga president. Nkana kunganda kumya wamukono wati Hakainde. And I will be consulting him on several occasions to hear what he would have done had he been president. Because whether I like him or I don't like him, he's our head of state. And I have to use his knowledge. You have to call him and say, if it were you, what would you have done? If it were you, what would you have done? That's what I'll be doing when that time comes.
Let me give you this message here from Steve Mwale. Steve Mwale says, well elaborated and well articulated, my president, powerful leader that you are. Eno Sims says, Mr. Kalava, we need you in Kanyama, Alapa ground Tefintu. I also have this one from Kedrick Simutowe says, President Harry Kalava, to you, you are the only hope for Zambia, but 2026, under what circumstances this government must go? Because it has come to milk Zambians, not to provide for the Zambians. It is a government for rich and foreigners, for the rich and foreigners. But 2026, these business government must go. These businessmen in government must go.
Yeah.
And Mr. President, you are only one that we are looking for. Quite a couple of long messages, but let me read one last one and then I take a few calls. Sikoli Mungole says, thinking of doing politics of Mr. Sata in this era where people can read and write, it is being backward. You wanted a public rally on the same day we had Ukusefa Pangwena Kwaba Mwine Lubemba. How will the police monitor security-wise for Mwine Lubemba? Mr. Kalaba, all government economies are financed by external funding. Mr. Kalaba, define IMF and the way you say, I can't get it right, but I think he mixed up stuff.
Let's forget he mixed up stuff, but you see, we can still answer him.
Was it true that you wanted to have a rally on the same day when there was Kusefa Pangwena?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what is wrong with that? Because Kusefa Pangwena is in Northern Province. The rally is in Luapula Province. How do you mix the two? Because Northern Province pali kwa Chagwa Pokola. If you separate you have not done your research. Kusefa Pangwena nukuka sama. Rally Nikulu Apula Province Kusamfia. Where is the comparison there? chimono kwevo kuti la yo tetimukwate rally kuri kusamfya pantu on the same day kuri ceremony kunani ku southern province. I mean, does it add to anything? It doesn't add anything. So don't defend the indefensible. Then one thing about the International Monetary Fund. The International Monetary Fund is an organization that came into being after the Second World War. Only actually IMF. But certain countries, they sat together and said, how do we rebuild our economies? When they discovered that they spent money to rebuild their economies after some time, they discovered that there's still a bit of money left. What do we do with the money which we have after rebuilding our economies? Oh, by the way, Tombo Congo Shama African countries with an interest. You're talking about a field I'm very conversant with. The IMF has challenges in its model. That is why countries like Rwanda have been very hesitant with IMF. They have their own self-financed model. Oh, babomfia. Na munomu ine muzanga. Inendalando kutila, what we don't have are leaders in this country. What we don't have are leaders abashakwato mwenso. What we don't have ninchi. Shouting on mashiretela ma envelopes ya paya ma dollars. Shala alanda chinka. They'll call sin by its rightful name. Mumma mines, Zambia's mining capacity here, if it is well harnessed, if we brought certain policies in place, the mines will begin benefiting us. What
policies would you rather be implemented in the mining sector?
Look, like now.
Yeah.
You know, me, I have said that if when I become president, and I say when, was it's a question of time. When I become president,
yeah,
I would want to bring a body like Memako back to the fore. Memako was...
That's as good as IDC? No?
Industrial Development Corporation is what is dealing with parastatals. Not parastatals.
Yeah.
The mother body. And I don't even know the efficacy of IDC anyway. You know? What I'm talking about is a special purpose vehicle which is able to see how much is being mined, how much is being exported, and how much is the country getting. Is the country getting the correct revenue out of what it's exporting?
And I think that this government has decided to put up such a...
they have not. They have not. What
such
this
a commission? Yeah?
No, this government talks a lot. Me, I talk a lot. Could you alopato Hichilema? Eka fie pali bonsha walemberefi. Mafe wanda dipansa kata pabola walabe ni mwa ishiva. So, I can say whatever he wants to say, we don't care. If we are telling the truth here. If it is for mining sector,
yeah,
ni corruption ichepa neko. If it is for mining sector, ku dealing na players in a transformative and transparent manner. Mutembo fin na consequence. We want to ensure that the copper we are getting from this country is benefiting Zambians. How? It's by ensuring that the correct quantum of what is being exported is reflected. Could was ZRI. And that is very difficult revenue from the mines. If it is difficult to get revenue from the mines, where will you get the money from? Because the money is in the mines. We have cobalt in this country. We have gold in this country. We have emeralds in this country. We have diamonds in this country. I was reading, the police got from a Chinese 29 bars of gold and $200,000. Huge amounts of monies are in private hands. One of the things Wakaunda succeeded was making sure that wealth here kuchalo, and very few individuals had wealth, because Wakaunda bali ishive ukutile ichumanga chabe kuchalo as compared to kubantu ichalo chika kuntanji. So I believe strongly myself that it is important to create, first of all, yes, create strong citizens or create a strong economy, and then the economy will look after all of us. But right now what is happening is the ones who are benefiting, government, everybody enjoy ama mines, everybody enjoy, kula bashira chate ndeke, kula bapangira ama cakes, ama birthday, kula bashira, you know, they're the ones who are enjoying all those kind of things at whose expense? The Zambian people. You discovered gold, kukasenseli, kumunilunga kodi. Up to now, nothing has been happening while you discovered God. To guard God. Instead of extracting the gold and begin adding value to it, you build a strong economy. Mwasanga sujilite, tema mines kula province. What do you do at Shikeni Fimbotele if you're sujilite? And you ban sujilite from being mined. What do you want then? Do you want the economy to grow? Do you want the country to go where it should go? It cannot go because ama interest nayo apsana. Wale istabashika po, lero ushiku wako nekelako. Atishikululeni. Mpeni ko tatu hapo. Mpeni ko 4 hapo tsende. It can't be like that. What we want is the Zambians to benefit from their God-given resources. Elo inero yandinga president. Kuuluma. Ninena fumba. Bonse kubafutatila pautila. Everybody is safe under that umbrella. And the national resources must be used for national activities. Not Hichilema. National resources have become personal resources. You can't do that. You can't do that.
You were invited in the USA to go and speak. It should be at an institution. Tell us a bit about that, because that too has brought political speculation that it's the beginning of you being endorsed by the American government. Again, people are afraid that we might have you as a puppet of the Americans should you become president.
First of all, I will tell you that I have been not only been aligned, or I'm not a leader that can only be aligned to one particular country, because in an Shiva, how these things work. Zambia has been non-aligned from time immemorial, and Zambia will continue being non-aligned. If our interests in China will be pursued as a country that should exhaust our interests in China, our interests in the United States will be pursued as a country that has got interests in the United States. I have only been recognized, honored by that summit, which will be having, the Africa Caribbean Leadership Summit, which is happening. I am one of the speakers there. I've been invited on the 24th of September, alongside the margins of the UN General Assembly. I was minister in this country, and they knew my contribution when I was minister in this country. And the world watches us, even what we are doing in this country. My consistency and recognition by that institute has got nothing to do with the Americans saying, oh, they have endorsed Harry and therefore he's going to be a puppet of the West. No. In fact, the contrary, people should be happy that one of their own is being recognized at that fora, which is a fora of seriousness by leaders. And I'll be speaking there on the 24th of September. I'm traveling. So I'm traveling with good tidings. I am going to New York to speak about the beauty of Zambia. I'm going to New York to talk about the potential that Zambia has. I am going to New York to tell the people that there's a leadership which is coming in Zambia, which leadership you can interact with maximally and extrapolate benefits just as the people extrapolate benefits. That is what you bring to the table, nothing else.
Well, I'm looking at my watch. I think I can accommodate the last batch of calls. We'll take the last 3 callers and then we begin to wind up. We missed it, but we'll take another one on 0955221515. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Very well, thank you. And how are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Fine, thank you. Your name and where are you calling us from?
My name's Mr. Morris Banda, calling you from Lusaka.
Morris Banda, please go ahead.
No, thank you so much. How are you, Mr. President?
Good morning. How are you, sir?
We are okay. Mr. President, you are articulating your issues very, very well and very clear. From the perspective of the people of Zambia right now, you are the choice. We want to urge you, you should not be intimidated in any way. Looking at the leadership that you have right now, you are the answer for the Zambian people. You have been consistent in your issues. You are talking to people without malice. You are so objective to anything that is required that you think would be good for the Zambian people. We want to urge you, Mr. President, that the Zambian people are behind you and they are following you so much. But there are certain things which you need to put in place further, Mr. President. right now we have been getting the continuous voters registration. In most cases, elections are not won at a point of voting day. It is a system where even starting of today, where they are registering people, you need to advise, you need to encourage the members or the public to go and register so that we are able to take note to say the people, those who are supporting you, they are the ones who are going to provide serious support for you to govern. As much as it is today, the president right now, you are the choice, and how they have felt. They will not give you the president or super plat. And they will make sure they will try all sorts of means to intimidate you. So you need to stand strong. You have got the support of the people. Right now, the people, they have decided, they have seen me to say you are the right person. PF was there, and I don't expect the PF that right now they'll be able to say something that is going to convince the Zambian people to cast a vote on them. And UPND, they made the promises which they have failed. What the promises they promised, it is actually completely opposite to what they were saying. If you look at the living standard of people right now, the cost of living, it is much more higher than ever before. So I came across a certain part of your manifesto where you encourage, you are telling people to say, you are going also to base your leadership on the massive production of goods and services that are going to make sure the people of Zambia will be able to benefit from there. So the UPND has failed. PF already, they are out. They can never be an option to the Zambian people. You are the next. We urge you to stand. You urge you to stand still and also continue mobilizing, especially with the team that surrounds you. Get what is important to you. Make sure the mobilization part it is there. Reach Changombo. If anything, I would encourage you, Mr. to say you need to make sure you touch all those areas, including Changombo, in areas where you think people they may not be able to touch you. Find the means of reaching those people. You talk to them not only on phone calls. Some of the people will be very happy to talk to you, Mr. President. Otherwise, you are the hope of the people. And the Zambian people now, they are behind you. You are the name now on the political arena.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Morris. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Great. I'll take two more calls and then we call it a day. 0955-221515. Good morning. Hello.
Lucky.
Mkwai.
Dr. Mainza here.
Dr. Mainza.
Calling you direct from Hatembo family within Saka under Mukolo wa DPT.
Great, Dr. Mainza.
Doctor, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
It is well with my soul.
Thank you. Bazaki.
Mkwai.
Akalaba ni baneba banga bali muwati manga. Me and my PS.
Okay.
So the UPND at what level.
Right.
Bakalaba. How many times need to milani mafoni kiti kumani? Nikuuzeni my issues ya meta. But you decided to put on. Point number one, your measures I'm taking now, Mumu Forest and Drama, 850 kwacha. Low income babwani. So meaning you are against the rules. That is point number one.
What did you say, sir?
I'm saying your maid.
My maid at home.
Your maid in Darama many police a monthly maid. 850 kwacha.
Doctor, you are a liar.
No, I'm telling you. You are my neighbor. Give me a chance to explain.
Find out. But you are telling a lie. You are telling a lie.
Dr. Mainza. Dr. Mainza.
Don't tell lies.
Yes, Dr. Mainza. Let's get straight into issues. If you find that he underpays his workers, say it as it is. Because we also have to respect that maid. and her integrity, all right? So you can't expose that maid who is not here to
And I don't
defend
even
herself.
and I
Please.
don't even have a maid myself.
Please.
So which maid is talking about?
Yeah,
I
so
don't
so
have
so
a maid.
so please let's get into issues
Comrade Zach,
with all due
give me a
respect. Yes.
time. Yeah, give me a time. You know, Bakalaba aspire candidate as president. One day they want to lose this country. So they are supposed to respect the rules. They are supposed to respect the constitution. That's the point I'm trying to bring Alkama out now. That's why I'm saying Ahmed paying less one.
But I'm saying I don't have a maid from Linda.
You have, comrade.
What's the name of? I don't have a maid. We don't do maids ourselves. I don't have a maid at home.
Mr. Mainza, right. I'm not sure if you have issues to discuss
he
here.
doesn't have.
Maybe. Let me say. Let me say this. Since you have his number, have that conversation with Mr. Kalaba on the sideline. I'm running out on time now, so we need to take our last call. Please pick up his call. He says he calls you, you don't pick up his call.
I don't even have his number. Actually, if I have his number, I'll pick it up then.
All right.
I'll pick
So
every number.
all right. So we'll take the last call on 0955
but Zach,
22. Yeah.
I think it's important because I don't have a maid. You know, I'm here on radio, and I should be speaking the facts. We don't have a maid at our house. We do our own. By the way, we do our own house cleaning chores with my wife and my children, and we don't have a maid deliberately because we want to keep our small house on our own. If he said you've got people who clean your outside surroundings, yes, but for the house, we do our own household
Did
chores.
you have one when you were a minister? By virtue of being a minister?
When I was minister, yes, we had, and they were being paid by government.
Right.
But since I left being minister, I can't afford to pay maids. So we do it ourselves. And so that is a lie that he wants to create. If you don't have issues with people, don't just lie. You know, it's not right. And none of my workers, by the way, will tell you they get below the
minimum wage.
The minimum wage. None of them. None.
I think that's the agenda he was driving. Yeah. But let's take the last call. Good morning. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Wazaki.
Good morning. Thank you.
Agarava mauga bwanji.
Nauka mauka bwanji wasogolevi.
Auga bwino. Ya migira utumwafi.
Your line is breaking. Is this Woman Sanjay?
Yeah, it's Woman Sanjay.
Yeah, your line is cracking.
Am I clear now?
Yeah, much better.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's noisy. Maybe it's noisy where you are.
Chedwa marume. Go join my mbaki mwajikaji muche.
Woman Sanjay, you are in a loud place. We can hardly hear you. Yeah, it's quite noisy where you are. We'll leave it at that. And because I'm running out on time, let's get your concluding remarks. First, what I would like to find out as we close is how established your party is structure-wise, country-wide. Is this an exercise you are still doing, or this is something that already exists on the ground?
The purpose of party organization is a continuous process.
Yeah.
But I can tell you that there's no province you go to today and you find that the citizens' face is not there. Go to any province. In fact, I can even dare you say, go to even any other district. You'll find the CF there. Because that is all we are doing. We are mobilizing very aggressively because we understand that the people of Zambia deserve an opportunity to change leadership. And when they'll be changing that leadership, they need to have a choice. Clearly, our colleagues in UPND have felt that's why they can sponsor people like Dr. Mainza. He's not even a doctor, by the way. People like Mainza to come on radio and speak and disparage leaders in that fashion. And I'm happy, Zach, that you can't tolerate that on your station because it's not fair. Let's exchange facts here and let's not start creating lies like he wanted to create. And lucky for him, I don't do maids. I don't have maids in my house. So the CF has gone flat out to mobilize itself. We are mobilizing ourselves because the time is calling for us to stand up to the moment. We have to do that. And we are providing tangible solutions. We are saying How is it that in the 60s and 70s and even 80s, Zambians had a decent life as compared to now? What happened to our industries as a country? And the CF is anchored on industries. We will be unveiling our manifesto. Abacha, next week, eh? We'll be unveiling our manifesto next week, and you're invited to come along.
Right.
Why are we doing that? We are doing that because Zambians must understand the roots that anchor the citizens first. It's industrialization. It is mining, agriculture, tourism, the energy sector. Those are key sectors for us in the citizens first, because we know that once we begin industrializing value addition, things will change. Why should we be producing soya beans in this country and soya chunks are being made in Tanzania? Why should we be growing sunflower and yet our cooking oil is being made in Malawi? Why in God's name should we be producing cotton and wale tupangire fitenge pa Mukambo, wale tupangire fitenge ku Lubumbashi? Because the DRC is very industrialized when you go to their country. But for us here, there's nothing that we are doing. We are a trading country. So the CF wants to turn those things around. We need to look at the 8 neighbors surrounding us as an advantage. We have to make sure that Zambia begins benefiting from its relations with its neighbors. And we believe that by value adding, we are exporting Mukula instead of adding value to Mukula. We are exporting copper and we are importing bullets from China. What happened to Mpepetwe, which was making our bullets? We have to bring those things back. If we can start value adding, the levels of unemployment will drastically go down. If we can insist on ensuring that we stop bringing in finished products like the way they are doing, bringing in petrol, bringing in diesel, there's no way we can create employment like that. But unless you begin value adding, you bring crude oil here and then you begin separating it, you have byproducts of bitumen, you have byproducts of liquefied petroleum gas, paraffin, then you are creating jobs for your people. Not what is happening right now. The UPND, on the other hand, was saying they were going to create jobs. Yet they have incapacitated almost everybody. Now, the private sector, if we we are going to terminate. We are going to terminate for at least 1 year. I am going to Samalight so that we can allow Zambians to begin enjoying their power. Because Chivindawa Bamba, Nwakanya Kwiniakanyi. Tetumukwate ntungulushia mwenso. Chifiro kulandira kwa bena Zambia. Pantunga balanda kulandira kwa bena Zambia nishama contracts ba kwata ku Belgium, na ngoma contracts ba kwata ku London, bala ba start just balaba na balaba putula. Not this leader talking to you now. We will do what is required for the people of Zambia without fear or favor.
Mr. Harikalava, Citizen First Party President, thank you very much for coming and for responding to our invitation. We sure hope that we will have more discussions. I did promise that I will give you an opportunity to give your contact details to our listeners. You can do that under a minute.
Thank you so much. Our listeners can get in touch with us by calling Madam Messi Chirufia, because I heard there were a lot of people from Chawama. Messi is coming from Chawama. So you can call on 0978 60 6311. 0978 60 6311. That is Messi. You can also call Madam Marjorie Mutakwa. She's in John Leng. She's on 0977 779133. 0977 779133. That's Madam Marjorie. You can also call our Secretary General of the party, Mr. Chintu, on 0977 414274. 0977 414274. Then you'll find our SG. I think those numbers, if you call them, you're going to find our people, and definitely Citizens First, you join CF, you have joined Buka.
Thank you for coming once again.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much to you. So our listeners who followed our conversation today, but more sincerely, I would like to thank radio stations that carried this particular program live on their platforms, Tuta FM and KFM in Mansa, KNC and Spice FM in Kabwe, and also Mafken in Mufurira. Thank you very much for doing so. So until Thursday, with the Thursday edition of The Burning Issue, from us all, is take care of yourselves and more so of each other. Bye-bye.
Tune in next week for another edition of The Burning Issue, and thank you